Hey everyone, today we're going to be doing a comparison between the Goruck GR2 in ripstop nylon and the A19 Evade 1.5 full. And I was actually quite surprised when I realized that I had never compared these bags on the channel, just given their popularity. I recently did a poll on the channel just to see which comparisons you guys would want to see in the future, and one of the viewers gave a shout out to these two bags, and I was really excited when I saw the suggestion. As always, I'm keeping an eye out for ideas from you guys, so keep them coming, please. And so I had an opportunity to revisit these two, which have been some of my favorite newer releases of the past couple of months. They're both fairly new options. And either one is going to be a fantastic all-rounder bag, but there's definitely going to be some similarities and differences that you'll want to keep in mind depending on your particular needs. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Before doing so, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Danny, and on this channel we love reviewing popular travel and everyday carry gear. If you like these types of videos and you'd be interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing, as it helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. Starting off with the overall aesthetic, both of these have been around in some form or another for a while now, but they have gone through some evolutions. So what I have here are the most recent versions of each of these bags. Now there are some nuances when we talk about something like the GR2 because it is offered in a couple of different editions. Even now, I have here the ripstop nylon 26 liter GR2, but they do have the GR2s that have the moly webbing along the front and sides that have a little bit more of a tactical look. I've featured some of those on the channel as well, but I really like the slick styling that Goruck has implemented on many of their newer bags. And I just feel like it's going to be a little bit more versatile and minimal. And then with the Alpha 19er, this one has also been updated, so the overall silhouette feels a little more modernized and streamlined than the previous edition, but it's still got a pretty functional aesthetic. It's not as technical looking, but it does have some attachment points, pockets, so it's not the sleekest or most minimal bag. Neither of these are really, but they are meant to be a little bit more functional. I think it works well. They're still going to blend in nicely into a variety of environments. They don't stand out too much, which is particularly helpful if you're using them for travel, but I think they're going to work great in an urban setting. I've taken these into the outdoors, so pretty much for any use case, I think that this overall look works really nicely. As far as the materials, both bags feel very solidly built, and each one is offered in a couple of different fabrics. For the GR2, the version that I have here, as I mentioned, is the ripstop nylon. This is a 420D Robic ripstop, which I've featured in a couple of different bags, and so far I've really been liking this fabric. I know there were some concerns around the durability compared to something like 1000D, and yes, it doesn't feel quite as rugged or abrasion resistant, but it is plenty durable. I haven't had any issues with any of the ripstop bags that I've used, and I actually prefer it for most use cases just because it's going to be a little bit lighter, it offers better weather resistance, and I just also like that it's more flexible, so it just molds around everything that's on the inside. So, to me, that's worked out very, very well. It just feels really broken in and usable right out of the box, and then you still have the very reliable and durable YKK zippers all throughout, which feel like they are even easier to use on the ripstop bags, in my opinion. So, really solidly built. And if you don't like the ripstop, but you want a really rugged GR2, they're still gonna have some 1000D versions. They have Dyneema editions that have come out. So there's, some variety there. For the Evade 1.5, also super rugged. The version that I have here is X-Pack, which, has that texture that gives it a nice, cool, distinct look, and it's gonna provide some added weather resistance, very durable fabric. It's also offered in a 630 D12, 500 and 1000D Corduras, I believe. So a couple of different options, but all very, very rugged. Beyond that, with the Evade, you also have really nice YKK zippers all throughout. So as far as build quality, pretty comparable. These are two of the most rugged bags that you could potentially get. They both are going to be a little bit on the heavier side just due to the padding, the durability, the features that they offer. So that's something to keep in mind if, weight is one of the biggest concerns for you on a bag. But, I think that it's not that noticeable, and it's worth the trade-off to me for the added peace of mind that you get as far as the durability. Continuing along the exterior, the GR2 is definitely going to be a little bit more minimal, particularly if you go with one of these slick editions of the bag. So there's going to be no webbing along the front or the sides, which is going to reduce some of the configurability that you might find with the more tactical versions of the bag. There's also not going to be any external water bottle pockets or side handles. You do have a really nice handle at the top, as Goruck bags always do. Very rugged, very reliable, so in that aspect it does a great job. And then on the front you still have the Velcro patch area that you can customize. I have my Ted Lasso patch here. Been getting some really cool ones as of late. And so if you want a lot of external functionality, the Evade is going to have some advantages here for sure. First up, with the 2 external water bottle pockets, these are going to offer a ton of space. We'll easily be able to hold a 26-ounce Yeti Rambler. It can hold larger water bottles as well, but this is kind of the size that I find is my larger size that I prefer to carry. Anything bigger than that starts to feel a little bit overwhelming, but nice amount of elasticity, and then they hug the bag when they're not in use so they don't stick out too much. And then with the Evade, you also have compression straps that you can remove if you want to have a cleaner appearance, but I personally like to keep these on just to give me some additional functionality if I want to attach a tripod, a jacket, or if I want to compress the bag down a little bit, it can help in that regard. You also have a nice handle at the top, not quite as comfortable or well padded as the Goruck handle in my opinion, but you have some additional attachment points here where you can clip on accessories. So, it kind of gives you a little bit of all worlds as far as providing some of the webbing, some of the, more technical aspects without going overboard. So, really great to see that from Alpha 19er. And then on the front, you also have some loops that you can pair with an included bungee cord that you can place along the front. So again, just added flexibility, a little bit more on the exterior with the Evade 1.5. Features that I don't use that much, but I know for some people they will be nice to have. And then the other aspect while we're talking about the exterior is the ability to self-stand. And this is an area again where the Evade 1.5 does a really good job. It's got a very wide bottom, so and especially with the X-Pack fabric, it kind of keeps its shape a little bit better than the GR2, so it's able to stand up consistently. And then the shape of the GR2 also just doesn't work that well for standing up consistently. With some of the additions, I've been able to make it work, but generally I find that it tips forward. Not going to be nearly as reliable as the Evade 1.5. So if having a bag that stands up on its own is a really important factor for you, then the Evade 1.5 is definitely going to be a winner in that regard. Moving into the capacity, both bags come in at a pretty versatile size. The GR2 is of course offered in a couple of different sizes. The version that I have here is the 26 liter, which is the one that I enjoy using the most. They also have a 34 liter and a 40 liter, which are going to be great for one bag travel. But the 26 liter to me is a really nice sweet spot that allows you to use it for EDC, but it can still work for minimal travel. This is kind of the ideal personal item size. I've taken this on Ryanair, EasyJet, Spirit Airlines. I'm able to slide it under the seat in front of me. So absolutely love the form factor and the size. The Evade 1.5 comes in at around 25 liters. At least that's what's listed on the site. But to me, it's always felt a little bit larger than that. Even when you see them side by side, it just looks like it's a little bit bigger as far as the overall footprint. And it's still a great kind of all-purpose size. It can hold more than enough for EDC. It can work as a minimal travel bag. It's just gonna feel a little bit bulkier, but regardless, I think both of them are just gonna give you a ton of versatility in this size range. Taking a look at the harness system, so far both bags have been really comfortable to wear. The implementation on the harnesses though is pretty different. So with Goruck, you have kind of their typical really rugged straps that are included here. I really like these in the ripstop versions of the bag as they feel more broken in and they're just really comfortable and easy to use immediately versus some of their previous bags which took quite a while to break in. They have been including the nylon backing on most of their newer rucksacks regardless of the fabric, which I think is a good move. It's a little bit less abrasive, feels really nice. The bag does tend to slide a little bit more, but overall I prefer these straps to the previous editions, and then they have a great width to help prevent the bag from digging into your shoulders when it's more packed out, which is awesome because these are designed to carry a ton of weight. And then you have webbing on the straps that will allow you to add a sternum strap, not included with the bag. And then on the back, you know, you have a nice amount of padding, a great frame sheet that distributes the weight. You don't have a ton of breathability here. This is a common call out that I have with Goruck's bags. You have some elevation to create slight air channels, but in general, your back is gonna get pretty sweaty with any of the Goruck bags that you go with. So, you know, this is an area where I would say that Alpha 19er has, again, an advantage. They are well known for having some of the most comfortable harness systems on the market. Really soft, beefy straps on the inside. You have a great breathable mesh to help prevent moisture from building up. The straps also have a nice width here, so they're not going to dig into your shoulders when the bag is loaded out. You also have some additional adjustability with the load lifters that'll allow you to pull the weight closer to your back and just kind of tweak how everything sits on your shoulders. Then you have additional attachment points, webbing. You have an included sternum strap that you can adjust. You can remove it if you don't want to use it. And then the back paneling is also really comfortable. Same padding that we saw on the straps. So well distributed all throughout, super breathable. And then I like the elevation that's provided here. It's going to give you plenty of airflow while you're walking around throughout the day. So absolutely love the harness system here. Been very comfortable. You also have a couple of little attachment points on the bottom where you can attach a waist belt that's not included with the bag. And then one additional bonus with the harness system here is that you have the luggage pass-through strap, so you can rest this on your suitcase while traveling to save some weight on your back. And so on paper, it feels like there's a pretty clear winner between these two as far as the harnesses. I think for most people, the Evade harness is going to be more comfortable. You know, and I always try to remember, however, that the harnesses for Goruck's bags were designed with a little bit of a different use case in mind as far as rucking and taking them into the Goruck challenges where they're going to get dirty and, you know, caked in mud and dirt and stuff. So, you know, the idea I imagine is that they would be easier to wash with this sort of back panel. Now, most people probably won't have that use case. I know I certainly don't. So I long for a Goruck backpack with this sort of breathable backing, but just something to keep in mind depending on your use cases. Jumping into the organizational options, both of these have excellent pocket layouts in my opinion. Really nice variety distributed all throughout the bag. And so on the quick access front, Goruck continues to have their slanted zippered quick access pocket, which some people are not big fans of. I have personally come to like it more and more with these newer fabrics that they're using, as it just provides some additional flexibility and space, so it's much easier to use than on the Cordura versions of the bag. More than enough space now to hold something like my iPad. I'm able to slide it in there easily. Also some of the flatter pouches like the Goruck Wired Up or the Alpaca Admin pouch are gonna fit in here comfortably. I can reach them, and while traveling I like to toss a lot of my stuff from my pockets into this area. And you also have the top quick access pocket, which has been one of the best updates that Goruck has made across many of their bags. They're adding it to more and more editions of their rucksacks. The Heritage GR1s, the ripstop nylons, and many of the GR2s now have them. They recently launched a few new ones that now have the quick access pocket. So even if you want to have the tactical MOLLE version of the bag, you can still find some that are gonna have this area. And so more than enough space here for the items that I'm typically grabbing. So my headphones, my charger for my phone, my Magic Mouse, they're all able to fit in there very, very comfortably. So absolutely love this pocket, great implementation there. And then moving over to the Evade, a couple of different quick access options here. So they have one quick access pocket at the top. It's got a nice soft lining, pretty good amount of volume, enough space for charging cables for my mouse. Same type of items that I would have in the top quick access pocket for the GR2, and they fit in there. Another spot where I could put my sunglasses, so really useful pocket there. At the bottom, you have an additional zippered area. This is an update from the previous edition of the Evade, and this is a pocket that I haven't been as crazy about, just because it does share volume with the pocket that's behind it, so it can be tough to use this when the bag is loaded out. It can be really tight as far as the space. Also, if you're using the bungee cord with the bag, it can get in the way of some of these quick access pockets. So that's something to keep in mind if you end up adding that. So this is a pretty simple compartment. Still gonna have a nice amount of space for charging cables any of the items you're grabbing regularly, you'll just have to keep in mind, with how you pack the bag out to distribute the space accordingly. And then you also have this admin pocket on the front, which does have some volume that goes all the way down. This is the area that's shared with that front compartment. So if you have something like a pouch or a jacket, it's gonna make it a little bit tricky to take advantage of both of the pockets, but I really like this area in general because of the space and then the internal organization that's provided here. You have a couple of slip pockets that offer a good amount of space, some hook and loop backing that you can pair with the admin organizers that Alpha 19er sells. You have a little area to attach your keys or a multi-tool. You have a D-ring at the top to pair with some of their pouches, or if you want to clip something on. Then you have a zippered pocket. So, just a nice variety of pockets in this area. And you also have a little slot that you can use with a magnet patch if you want to customize the bag on the front. I kind of wish that they just had the regular Velcro patch area. I know this gives a cleaner look if you don't like to use patches, but I don't have one of those magnet patch systems, so I kind of have to keep the cleaner look for this bag. So depending on your particular tastes and use cases, you may prefer that. And then the next area we're going to be taking a look at is the laptop compartments. With the GR2, you have Goruck's typical laptop implementation that is behind the shoulder straps, which can take a little bit of getting used to. I've started to learn how to actually be able to access my laptop without having to move the straps out of the way. And so that's been nice just to make it a little bit quicker to get in and out. But if you have a larger device or with some of the additions of the bag, you might just have to move the strap back. Regardless, I like that this is a dedicated laptop compartment separate from the main areas. You have the really rugged frame sheet, plenty of padding, and then a nice false bottom. So it's gonna prevent your laptop from making contact with the ground when you place your bag down. This will be able to hold a 15-inch laptop pretty comfortably. So nice implementation here. And then the Evade has an externally accessible laptop compartment. It's got a top loading pocket here, and again, nice amount of space for 14 or 15-inch laptop. Doesn't feel quite as spacious as far as the opening as the GR2, but still a nice amount of padding. It is suspended off the bottom of the ground. One thing that's interesting about the implementation here, which we'll see once I go into the main area for the Evade, is that it's not a fully dedicated compartment. It kind of shares the space. There's a divider, but it's not completely separate in the way that Goruck's is. So I kind of prefer that implementation, but your mileage may vary. And then moving back into what I would say is kind of the primary storage areas. This is one of my favorite things about the GR2 is that you have, kind of a secondary clamshell compartment. I talk about this a lot when I refer to the GR2 because it feels like you have an additional main area. I guess you could say that the Evade almost has this with this front admin pocket, but it's not quite as flexible or spacious. And then you have a lot of additional organization for the GR2 in this area. So I'll start on the lid first, which has a nice zippered pocket at the top that has a good amount of volume. This is where I'll sometimes store my sunglasses or other items that I'm grabbing regularly. And then you have a mesh zippered pocket on the lid with the vertical zipper, so you can reach in and grab something without opening it all the way, which is a nice detail. And then moving to the other side, you have a little bit of volume here. So this is excellent for when I'm traveling to place a dock kit, a jacket, toiletries, any of those items that I need a little bit more space that don't quite fit in the main area. At the moment here, I have the Evergood Civic Access pouch, 1/2 liter. And then in the zippered mesh pocket behind there, I have my alpaca admin pouch. So, nice amount of variety of pockets. It's a little bit hard to use them all at the same time. Everything starts to kind of press up against each other, but if you kind of plan it out or you get used to the layout, it can be quite effective. And then at the top, you have the built-in field pocket, typical of all the GR2s. And I like that with the ripstop fabric, it is really, really flexible. So it just molds around everything that's on the inside. It really feels like it gives you some extra flexibility and space. And so at the moment, I just have my laptop charging brick, I have my GoPro, and then you have a couple of slip pockets on the back where I have a portable battery, a laptop cable. And so really like the layout that's offered here. Also providing a lot of variety like the Evade. I actually prefer the kind of more flexible nature of the layout and the compartment that's offered here versus the admin compartment that the Evade has. And then moving into the main storage area, clamshell opening on both of these. Let's start with the GR2, and with 26 liters of space, definitely able to handle all of my everyday carry accessories comfortably. It's a very simple open layout, so it works well for my typical style. Diving into what I have here, I have a couple of pouches, the AirTech pouch, I have a packable rain jacket, I have my Beat Studio wireless headphones, my DJI Mavic Mini with a hard shell case. I did have to store my water bottle in here if I want to carry one because there's no external pockets, which is not ideal, but I've gotten used to it over the years with Goruck's bags. And then I have the Evergood Civic Access pouch 1 liter and the 2 liter. Now with the compartment empty, you can get a better look at the inside. This layout will also work very well for minimal travel. I currently have the minimal travel items in the Evade, so I'll load them in here in a second. But you can get a look at the webbing on the back, so you can attach additional accessories or pair it with MOLLE compatible pouches. You have a little sleeve at the bottom, which is always nice, maybe for a tablet or some documents. And it's got that elasticity. You can also see the nice high contrast liner that is included with the earth tone edition of the bag. And then on the lid here, you have one additional zippered pocket. This one's a little bit taller. It's got this mesh that's pretty elastic and flexible, so if you want to use this to separate out additional clothing items, a jacket, toiletries, it's going to do a good job. And if you don't want to use it, just kind of stays out of the way. And moving over to the Evade, if you want to access the main area clamshell opening, you have to release the compression straps. Just additional stuff here to consider. And then opening it, again, full clamshell with my minimal travel loadout. So this is impressive. It always impresses me how much this main area can hold. It's just a large bucket, and at the moment I have here my Peak Design smaller compressible packing cube. I have my DOP kit, the extra pair of shoes that I typically have with me, and then the larger compressible packing cube. So I'll go ahead and move this over to the GR2. You can see that it's able to hold the 2 packing cubes as well, but it's a pretty substantial difference in the height of the main area. So you can see that is a lot of space. Now, to be fair, the GR2's secondary compartment probably evens that out quite a bit, but this really illustrates how spacious the main area of the Evade 1.5 actually is. And so both of them can hold the packing cubes comfortably. I'll move the other accessories over to the GR2 so I can put my shoes, I can put the DOP kit, and that's pretty much really tightly closed, and then you still have the front area. So, you can hold quite a bit with the GR2. But coming back to the Evade, since the compartment is empty, take advantage to call out that you have some attachment points on the inside you can pair with additional accessories. Here you can get a look at the laptop sleeve. So really nice false bottom here, but you can see how it's kind of a part of the main compartment. There's a little Velcro that you can open up if you want to access the laptop area from this main compartment. I don't really tend to use that very much. And so if you have a bulkier laptop in here, it can eat up some of the space from this main area. And then at the top, you have some additional webbing. You have a padded tablet sleeve. So, still some organization provided inside, but very simple. And then if I want to use this for minimal travel, it's going to easily handle all the same items that I had in the GR2. So the 2 pouches, the headphones, the drone. And then one of the big advantages here is that I don't have to place the water bottle in this pocket because there's external pockets, and there's just going to be plenty of leftover space with the other areas of the bag. So very easily swallows that up there. And on the lid for the main area, you have the 2 zippered compartment layout. So you have a mesh zipper pocket on the bottom that's got a nice amount of volume, so it provides some good flexibility. And then a smaller one at the top that doesn't have a mesh. Still a good amount of space, but you're not gonna be able to see what's inside of the compartment. So maybe good for something a little bit more sensitive. Then you have an additional D-ring. And so pretty similar layout to what you'll see with a lot of these popular EDC bags. These layouts are well known now. These are 2 of the long-standing, really popular options on the market. And so the last thing I want to talk about is the pricing. So the Goruck GR2 is going to be a little bit more expensive than the Evade 1.5. The pricing can vary a little bit depending on the fabric, the style, the size, and then I don't believe that all of the GR2s are made in the USA. If you do get a version that is built in the US, that's also going to come with the premium. So I believe that this edition with the ripstop nylon made in the USA is over $400, $400 to $500 once you factor in all of the costs. And then the Evade 1.5 comes in at over $200. I think it's around $250 or up to $300 depending on the fabric that you go with. It's going to vary a little bit depending on which one you choose. So both of these are premium options, but you definitely end up paying a little bit more for the Goruck bags. So I think that they offer a lot of value for that cost. And if getting a bag that's made in the USA is important to you, that will definitely factor in. As far as durability, I think that they're both going to offer an excellent, build quality. These bags are going to last for pretty much any use case that you put them through. And so, as far as which one I prefer overall, I think on paper for most people, I would probably recommend the Evade 1.5 because it has many of the things that probably a lot of people are going to look for out of a backpack in a more traditional sense. So you have the external water bottle pockets. The harness system is going to be a little more comfortable, breathable, adjustable. And then it's also really nice that the bag can stand up well on its own, and it has a really great organizational layout. For my particular preferences, however, I still lean towards the GR2. I've always just been a huge fan of the layout, the silhouette. I absolutely love the ripstop editions of the bag, and then the 26-liter size is just one that I continue to come back to all the time for EDC, for minimal travel. I just find myself reaching for this one more often than I do the Evade, but that's just me. If you've watched the channel for a while, you know that I'm a big Goruck fan in general. It's one of my first loves in the carry community, but both of these are truly fantastic options. You can't go wrong, and you just have to kind of think about whether those aspects that separate the two are gonna really impact your use cases, but either one is gonna be a great EDC or minimal travel bag for any situation. And so that's it. Those are some of the similarities and differences between the Goruck GR2 and the Alpha 19 Evade 1.5 Full. Hopefully this video was helpful, and if you have any questions on anything that we covered in the video or suggestions for similar bags that I should check out, as always, please let me know in the comments. And I'll make sure to include links in the description below to the dedicated reviews that I've done for each of these bags, as well as to the other comparison videos that I've been doing recently featuring bags like the Evergood CTB26, the Air Travel Pack 3 Small, and the Patagonia Mini MLC. And if you have ideas or suggestions for other comparison videos that you'd be interested in me doing, definitely let me know about those as well. And as always, I want to thank you for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.